Welcome to Conversations with Laurel, everyone, and happy May Day. This is May 1st, and this is a quite a day because this is also the first interview or visit that I'm going to have conversation I'm going to have with my first person with my new podcast name. My podcast used to be called Alligator Preserves for those of you who have been following me, and now I'm calling it Conversations with Laurel because that makes a lot more sense. What do you think, Carly?
I think that really does, but I like a quirky name that some people are like, what does that mean? I do kind of like that too.
I like that too. And I always have to tell people you have to listen to my very first episode to
Yes.
hear the story about alligator preserves. But we're going with Conversations with Laurel. And my first guest today is Carly Fauth. Carly, you're coming all the way from Massachusetts, which is my old stomping grounds, right?
Yes. Yes. All the way from Massachusetts.
And
Yeah.
and I'm in Colorado still, in Salina, Colorado. And Carly, the way I found you, and I'm going to ask you about how you find your people too. The way I
Yeah.
found you is my beautiful cousin, Mary Wilson, was talking to me about you and what an amazing inspiration you are. And she kind of told me a little bit about your story. And I just decided, well, and then of course she bought your book and had it sent to me right away. So we're going to talk with you, Carly, about your book, Pray for the Bear,
Hmm.
an ordinary person's guide to unlocking extraordinary personal strength. And let me just tell you, this is a book that everyone can read and get something out of. So,
Thank you for saying that.
so thank you for writing this. Tell us about Pray for the Bear. What's that? Where does that story come from?
So the title is similar to your alligator preserve. Some people are like, pray for the bear, but it's from a Kobe Bryant quote. If you see me in a fight with a bear, pray for the bear. So that's the story behind the title, and that became my rallying cry when I was diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer last February. I just really had to dig deep and find some inner strength, and I was able to do that in a way and find a lot of inner strength. And I found that I had all these thoughts running through my head about how I was finding that inner strength and about the journey that I was on. So I decided to write them down. Journaling, I mean, I like to journal, but as soon as I thought, well, maybe I'll write a book, then it's just all of a sudden everything started to flow. And I just wrote, there's a lot of days during chemo where I get what I had to get done and then I was completely spent. And I just wanted to sit outside and I would just write at my computer. So that's where that came from.
Pray for the Bear. So I understand that this is your second book. Um, Is is
Yes.
is your first book still in your sock drawer and why? Why? And tell us the story about your first book.
So I should have brought it with me. I didn't know you were going to ask me about it. That would have been great if I had it. But yes, it is in my sock drawer still. When I was in second grade, I decided that I liked to write, and I remember sitting sitting in the lunchroom with those square pieces of paper and just feverishly writing. And I thought it was amazing that I had all these creative ideas in my head. And the fact that once I learned how to write, I could put them on paper and have it be something tangible was just like mind blowing to me. So
Magic,
I would
yeah.
just write and write. And then I handed them to my mom one day, all these papers that I had saved, and she was very impressed by them. And I didn't look at it. I didn't know how to spell. It was just what I thought it sounded like. And she said, "This is great. I think we should turn this into a book." She never made me feel like she didn't laugh at it. We took it to it was like a printing press. It was a lawyer we knew, I think, that he liked the idea. So we put it together into a book, and she didn't even edit it. She had a glossary at the beginning to explain all my words and what they were. And then she asked me to illustrate it. So I have my little drawings in it, and it was called the Fantasy Book. And it was a whole bunch of different, very little bit shorter than the chapters of my book now, but a very similar format. And we gave it as gifts. And yeah, I just thought, I cannot believe I have a book with a binding on it. Yeah.
Yeah, yes. I'm going to encourage you to somehow put that up on Amazon. Have it be something that people could
I
buy because I think
really
that's
should.
hilarious and wonderful. And so many young people today have stories like you did. You know, I
Yes.
I had stories, and they need to know that they can get their stories out there and share them with the world. And why not? And I think it's hilarious that like nothing was, your mom just published it
Just
as
published
is.
the
That's
book. That's my mom. And I said, she was like, I believe in you. And I said, okay, I'm an author.
I want to see. I would buy that. I would buy that book. So
It's pretty funny.
let's make that happen. So you've got 32 chapters in here, and again, you talk about the length of it. They're, page and a half, 2 pages. Some
Mhm.
they're very easily digestible messages. And what I'm saying is like all of us can embrace the messages that are in here. This is not just a book for people dealing with cancer, right? I mean, did you know that
Correct.
this was going to be a book that was for more than just one
Oh
audience?
yeah. I did that on purpose. I didn't want to write a memoir. I just didn't feel like sitting down. That's what I started doing is I started like from the day I got my diagnosis and I couldn't write it. I just was like, this is so boring. No offense to anybody who wrote a memoir about cancer. I think it's great. But for me, that's not where my creative juices were flowing. So
Yeah.
I wanted to write something that people could get something out of based on what I learned from my journey. Cancer was my bear, but I know that everybody has their own bear. So what are the lessons and what are the takeaways that I could teach from what I learned so other people could fight their own bears in the best way?
Yes. Um, Talk about the stranger who told you you were beautiful and your message
Oh,
in that chapter, because that touched me.
Oh, that was a really rough day. There's a time losing my hair and even having a double mastectomy and going flat. It really didn't bother me the whole time, but there were days where I just felt unseen because you have to wear a mask because of germs. And I
Mhm.
had a hat on and I just didn't feel like a girl and I felt completely invisible. And and I just felt lonely. And I was in a store and I walked out and I had my bags in my hand and some big landscaper guy, he started walking towards me and I was like, oh boy. And he was like, I just want to tell you that you are beautiful. And I was like, I am. I just started. And then I said, I you don't know how much I needed to hear that. And it was just like the most meaningful. Like I've been told that I was pretty before, but I don't think I've ever had it affect me in such a meaningful way. And that guy gave me such a gift. And it was so nice. He was like an angel, but didn't look like somebody that would do something like that in that way. So it taught me a lesson that the people that are walking around with a cancer diagnosis with a mask and a hat, I never looked at it through that lens before that they want to feel beautiful too and seen. And when somebody actually takes the time to see you, it makes you feel so special.
I think that's true regardless of our conditions and our situations. I mean,
Yeah.
the idea of um, being kind to a stranger, saying something nice out of the blue,
Yeah.
maybe I remember being in Walmart, this was last year sometime, and there was a woman who um, was unique in many ways.
Yeah.
I'll say that. And she had on this beautiful shirt that I loved. I kind of love crazy shirts. And so I complimented her on the shirt, and she just beamed and told me the whole story about it.
Um,
And, we're passing time in the checkout line at Walmart. And it's just like, little interactions like that, as you mentioned, can change a whole person's day, right?
they really can.
Yeah, yeah. Um, One thing you talk about in the book is accepting help.
Mhm.
Why do you think people find it so difficult to accept help?
I think it's a control thing. I just never want to appear out of control, and I like to appear that I can handle everything. That's just like a core value that I've had ever since I was little, I think. I mean, I'm able to ask for help when I do truly need it, but I mean, cancer or grief or anything you're going through that's really hard that takes away important things that you value, it just leaves you feeling so vulnerable. And I think the first thing people do when they're feeling vulnerable is to try to hold on even tighter to being able to handle everything themselves. And so that was a big step for me that I had to learn is to be like, these people, like you're giving them a gift by allowing them to help you because they want to help you. So just stop being so stubborn and take the help. And that was a huge lesson I learned as well.
Yeah, no, that's a great one. I mean, every single lesson you have in here is
Oh,
excellent. And we
thanks.
all can use them. Um, Oftentimes, I'll start off my podcast interview with asking my guest, "Who are you?" Right? And you talk about defining yourself.
Hmm.
I guess I'll ask you, how do you define yourself? And you talk about the difficulties with that or the challenges of defining yourself. In particularly if, once you get a diagnosis
Yep.
and all that. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think for so long, especially, I think this is speaking to most women, that you consider yourself a woman by different parts of your body, whether it be something that you feel makes you an attractive woman. So for some people, it's their hair, and some people, it's their breasts, and sometimes it's your legs, or it's whatever that makes you feel attractive. I think that that can be your definition of beauty, and it becomes your definition of beauty. And then when you have a diagnosis like cancer and you're forced to let go of those things, it can be really scary. But I also think it's a little bit of a gift because you realize that those things are just fluff. And the true being of who you are is the beautiful part. And it's really scary if you have to strip away those things because it makes you even more clear cut and more visible to the world as who you truly are. So I think that that is kind of a gift cancer gave me because I mean, look at my hair now. I don't care anymore. To me, sure, I'm happy I have hair and I don't want it to look like a complete train wreck. And I don't have breasts anymore. And sometimes I look in the mirror like in a bathing suit and I wish there was a little something there. But that those days are and those moments are like less common as the time goes by because I feel like now I am the truest version of myself. And that's freeing because I don't have to depend on all the other things anymore. It's just it was scary in the beginning, but it's so liberating as well. I cut my hair short before this whole like I've always had short hair. Well, for most of my life I had short hair and I had a very similar feeling when I cut off my hair. And I still got comments like, why don't you grow your hair? It's like, because I don't want to. I think I'm pretty the way I am. So I think that that was good that that happened before this all happened because it kind of got me acclimated to being feeling pretty in a way that may not have been the traditional way of a woman feeling pretty.
Do you want to talk about your decision not to
Sure.
do
Oh, I'm very open
reconstruction?
about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I made my decision because number one, I didn't want to have any other surgeries. I'm a fitness instructor and I have to work and I never missed a day of working out or teaching through my recovery from a double mastectomy. It just looked a little different and chemo. And I was just like, I don't want to have to go through more surgery. And I also thought that my breasts had betrayed me and I just didn't feel
Yeah.
like I needed them anymore.
Yeah.
I also I'm tall and I'm lean. So, and I always wear a sports bra anyway. So I always appeared like I was flat. That wasn't a part of my body that I put a lot of emphasis on anyway. So
Mhm.
when I decided to go flat, I was like, I just want to be done with this. I don't want the
Yeah.
pain of another surgery. And as far as like getting reconstructive surgery or even like a lot of people are say like well you can get things to put into your bra to but I'm like I can't have one foot in and one foot out
Yeah.
because then I'm saying that I feel like I wish I had them when I don't and that to me
Yeah.
is like why. So I was like no this is who I am. If I don't feel comfortable in a shirt, if I don't like the way it fits with a flat chest, I won't wear the shirt, but there are plenty of shirts that I do like wearing. It doesn't, but then again, that's a personal decision. And like I said before, every woman has a part of her body that she feels defines her femininity and her beauty. And for a
Mhm.
lot of women, it is breasts. And that's the decision they have to make because you don't want to go through the rest of your life not feeling pretty. It's a decision you have to make for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, your grandfather, you call him your Morfar?
Marfar, mother's
Morf
father in
your
Danish. Yeah.
mother's okay, Danish, you're Danish. He kind of told you they're very with no uncertain terms that you needed to make your own decisions. There's some story in there about you said you didn't care about something, and did he get angry at you? Talk about that because the idea of making your own decisions. I think is so important. There have been people in my life who are the kind of, oh, I don't care kind of
Hmm.
person, and it puts stress on another person if you ask someone what
Hmm.
they want or what they want to do, and they say they don't care, then it puts the burden back on the person asking the questions. That's from my perspective. So talk about your
Yeah.
morfar and how that all happened.
Yeah, he was a Danish ship captain, so we were we didn't have the lovey-dovey, warm, stereotypical American granddaughter and grandfather or grandfather and grandson for my brother relationship. There, it was based on respect, and we did what he said to do. So I was a little intimidated by him to begin with. So we went over to their house for dinner when I was about 7, and he asked what I wanted to drink, and I said I don't care. And he said to me, "You never say you don't care when somebody asks you what you want. You tell them what you want." And then I was like, "Okay, I'll have an Orangina." And then, but that stuck with me as far as making decisions for other things because if you can't say what you want, you are giving control to somebody else. It's such a important lesson to learn that if somebody asks what you want, you tell them what you want. You don't put the power in their hands to give you what you want. It's just life's too short for that. There's say what you want and be confident about it. So that was more of like a confidence thing too. And I try to instill that into my kids. They still sometimes say, I don't care. But I think it's really important when somebody asks, starting at a very young age, if someone asks you a question, you give them an answer.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love that. So people out there who are doing the I don't care business, stop it. Because it's
Stop it.
stop it. Just stop
Yeah.
it.
Yep. Right now.
Right now. Right now. Next time I ask you a question, you better have an answer.
Yep. Yep.
Oh man. And the answer is not whatever you want.
No, that's the, oh, can you imagine if I said that to him? I think he would have kicked me out of the house.
That's
Oh.
awesome. Oh man. So your book, Pray for the Bear. In this book, you not only do you present all these incredible messages, but you honor your chemo buddies in this. I
Hmm.
mean, every single one of them, you introduce us to your chemo buddies. And so, first of all, I guess we should talk about your your podcast. So
Hmm.
so because I should have mentioned that at the beginning. Talk about
Oh,
your
that's okay.
and did the podcast come before the book?
Well, it's because it's May 1st. It's a very lucky day. Today is the anniversary of Chemo Coffee Talk, my podcast, because 1 year ago, today was the first day of my chemo treatments.
Oh my gosh.
So I started the podcast in my chemo chair, partly just as a way to reframe my situation because I was very, very scared of going into chemo.
Yeah.
But I didn't like being scared. So I thought, okay, what if I went in there and I like recorded a podcast right from my chair to give people a taste of what it was like to get chemo. And I knew that I had a list of people who signed up to go to chemo with me, chemo buddies, and they
Yeah.
were not all my best friends. Like I love them all, but they weren't all my lifelong people. They were just people that showed an interest and wanted to come and support me from various parts of my life. So then I came up with a format that I would give a how I was doing. And then I would interview them and like tell why they were so important to me and let them decide and let them teach everyone else a little bit about how they got that special thing that they taught me. So that was the format of the podcast. And it started in my chemo chair. I did one every single time I was in there. Sometimes I had 2 or 3 guests. The news in Boston came to cover it. And now I've continued it from my kitchen. And now I'm starting to get bigger guests like celebrities, sports figures, and
E-
expert
e-
stuff.
ec- Excellent. Well, I was actually going to ask you how you get your guests, and are you looking for guests? And if somebody wants to be a guest, how do they do that?
Yeah, I am always looking for guests. If you have a story, if you are a cancer survivor, if you're going through treatment, if you're a caregiver, if you're a doctor, if you're an expert, if you have anything in relation, I've had nutritionists, anything in regards to the cancer journey, I would love to hear from you. You do not have to be like a famous person. I just like meeting people, and everyone has a story to tell. And I think it's really important that we all share those stories. and talk about cancer in a way that's not so scary because it's going to keep happening. It's happening to so many people. And if we need to be able to talk about it and know that not every cancer diagnosis is a death sentence, and you could live a very happy life with a cancer diagnosis. And the more we can talk about it and support one another, the better off we're all going to be. Even kids too. It takes the fear away from that aspect too.
Hmm. What was your most difficult co conversation so far? Can you
Huh.
talk about that? Um,
Difficult conversation as far as guests go on the podcast.
right, as far as the
Yeah.
conversation and maybe, yeah,
Sad. Yeah. Probably it was one of my favorite episodes. And I liked the way it was done because it is a very sad story, but I don't want anybody to leave the episode going and crying on their couch. It was with a mom who is stage 4 metastatic breast cancer. And she just talked about trying to make sure, like, what her legacy is and what she wants to be remembered by, what she wants to be remembered for by her children. And just the way she was talking, it was so peaceful because she has made peace with it.
yeah,
And it was a difficult conversation, but it's one that I think is so important to have, and it stuck with me and it inspired me, and I'm really proud of that conversation, and I have so much respect for her.
yeah. I listened to that one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
tough
that
one.
was well done. Well done.
She's a
Yeah.
great person.
So you, and again, back to Mary, who was visiting me recently and suggested that I join our local pool, which I think I'm going to do. And
Good.
I took her to Princeton Hot Springs, which is
Love it.
15 minutes up our road. And next time you come out to Colorado, you better come here and we'll go to
I'm
the hot
coming. I'm
springs.
coming to see you.
All right, absolutely. So we'll go to the hot springs. And she put me through one of your workouts, some of the stuff that you had her
You
do, and I'm
told
like,
me.
oh my gosh, this is killing me. It was wonderful. So thank you for that. So talk about your Fit Fun Carly method. What is this? What do you do with people?
So I started the Fit Fun Carly method before I had my cancer treatment. It's based on 15 minutes a day.
Okay.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I'm just, when you talk, these
Oh, okay.
things
I was like, oh
slide
no,
out.
I hope I'm still here. So it's based on consistency over intensity. So really aimed at getting the people who do not have a consistent routine with fitness and showing them how much you can accomplish by being consistent with small bits of exercise each day. So I teach a 15-minute, and it's all virtual. I teach at least one 15-minute class a day, all different kinds of classes, strength, cardio, bar, yoga. I just think it's really important to make it fun. So not like a lot of variety. I teach some 30-minute classes too. And the idea being that you start at the 15. Once you get going with the 15, you usually feel so good that you realize, okay, I have time to do 15 minutes more. And then you can have this stacking system, which makes you accomplish more than you ever thought you could. And it's just based on positivity and cheering for each other and making that mind body connection and realizing how good exercise can feel and that you shouldn't really be doing anything you hate doing anyway. There's so much out there. There has to be something that you enjoy, or at least you really enjoy the feeling after you're done.
Yes, my husband would call that type 2 fun.
Yeah.
Type 1 fun being you're enjoying it while you're doing it.
Yes. Type 2
Type
fun.
2 fun being, after you've finished,
I
you
like
feel
that.
good.
I might
Yeah.
use that. That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, it's really good. Something about you did something about a burpee a day. So,
Yes, when I was
yeah.
diagnosed with cancer, I didn't really
Yeah.
know how to. I mean, I had a social media. I don't want it to sound like I had like trillions of followers, but I did have a decent amount of followers.
Yeah.
And I had to tell them some way. I didn't want it to be this, I don't know, sappy is not my personality or
I can
weepy.
tell.
I didn't want anyone feeling sorry for me. It's just not the way I roll. So I said I was sitting with my husband and I said, oh, okay. What if I get on there and I say that I have breast cancer and then I say that I'm going to do a burpee a day until my cancer is gone, or it was before I really knew what the terms were, but in remission. So I did a burpee a day from my diagnosis all the way until my last chemo treatment, because that technically that's when I was in remission. And it became the schools were doing them, my friends were doing them. It was like this big thing. I wanted something that was people could get behind in a way to support me that maybe they couldn't be with me physically, but it was just a nice way to show support and got people moving at the same time.
Awesome. Is Fit Fun Carly, is that a link that people can go
So,
to?
yep. So
And
Fit Fun Carly is across the board how I'm known. So fitfuncarly.com is my website. Fit Fun
okay.
Carly, that's my Instagram handle. Fit Fun Carly's on Facebook. That's all you have to remember is Fit Fun Carly. If you Google me, you'll find a lot about Fit Fun Carly. It's pretty hard not to know about me.
And I'll have the links below this when I post it on YouTube. How are you doing today? You sound and look marvelous.
Thank you. I feel great. My cancer was triple negative, so once I finished chemo, there was no like drugs. It's not driven by hormones, so I didn't have to take a hormone suppressant. They pretty much just say, go live your life and we'll see you every 3 months for blood work. And yeah, it's a new way of living. It's still part of the journey after the cancer treatments are over, but I feel good and I try to appreciate each day, which everybody should be doing.
Everybody should be doing.
Yep.
Absolutely. And today's May 1st. Make this the first day of you doing that, right? I mean,
Yes.
so,
Never
and
too late
again,
to start.
it's never too late to start. And it's always easy to find bad things, negative things, horrible things. Always easy because those things are right
Always.
in your face. It's more of a challenge to find something beautiful and happy, something maybe to make you smile or laugh every day. And that's kind of how I live my life too. It's like, okay, this is bad, but this
It
other
could be
thing is,
worse.
it could be worse.
Yeah.
This other thing is beautiful and
Right,
happy,
right. Find the
and
balance.
find the balance and find something. You have to laugh every day. I
Oh,
have to
yeah.
laugh every day, right?
Me too. And you have to laugh at yourself. I spend a lot of time laughing at myself and rolling my eyes at myself and saying, "Oh, that's so typical, Carly."
No, I think that's great. All right, I'm going to make you laugh. So, I was talking with one of my sisters the other day. I have four sisters, and I told her that because of some issues that I'm dealing with, I said, I told my husband I'm not going to downhill ski anymore because it scares me more than it makes me excited about it, right?
Yeah.
That's what I said. I'm not going to downhill ski anymore because it scares me. She heard housekeeping for downhill skiing. So
Oh
I
no,
told Mike I'm not gonna do housekeeping anymore because it scares
because
me.
it scares me. She must have been like, "Wow, I think we need some help here."
She's like, no, I'm with you.
I love that.
I'm with you. The vacuum cleaners are scary.
That's really
Oh,
funny.
so yeah, make somebody laugh. Make somebody laugh
Yep.
today. Carly, is there anything else you would like to tell our viewers, our listeners, our audience? Any other
Um,
messages you'd like to
Not
share?
my biggest platform right now, and that's part of the book too, is how important exercise is during a cancer treatment. And if you're somebody who hasn't been exercising, it's never too late to start because it will help you during the treatment. And if you are diagnosed and have not exercised, it is not too late to start. It can help you with the side effects. There are there are safe ways to do it. Find somebody who is educated in cancer exercise, and please, that's such a great tool to have in your toolbox to fight the effects of the treatment, the side effects of the treatment, and just to feel better because you don't get the days back when you're in treatment. It is like those are your days, those are your allotted days, so you better make the best of them.
Absolutely. Carly, thank you for the inspiration that you're sharing with others and what you do for others and with taking time to visit with me today. And listeners, if you haven't yet gone online on Amazon, right? We get
Yeah,
this, and I'll have a
Amazon.
link
Yep.
below. Get this book, Pray for the Bear. Subscribe to Carly's podcast. I'll have links below. Share this in her podcast with someone you know that this could help because I think we all have people in our lives who are struggling with it, be it cancer or be it anything else,
Anything.
anything else. And this is a gift. I want your first book. So
I really should make that. I don't know why I haven't done more with that book of taking pictures of some of the chapters because it is hysterical where my mind was at that time.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I still have my poetry book from fifth grade.
I
that I
love
did
that.
with sketches.
I love that.
I should do the same thing.
You should do the same thing. We'll
I
do
should
it.
put that out there. We'll do that because my fifth
Yeah.
grade teacher was so inspirational to me for, saying, "Oh, my poetry was beautiful." She'd take us out on field trips, and
Oh, I
we'd
love
go
that.
yeah, roll around in the grass, and she'd have us looking through the blades, and then she'd have us write about that, and then look up at the clouds, and then write about that, and
Oh, I love that.
it was absolutely wonderful. And of course, we were all brilliant authors in
Of
fifth grade.
course, because you are.
Carly, like, thank you again. And the next time I'm in Massachusetts, will have Mary Wilson.
Yes,
Thank you, Mary. Get us together, and then you come
I
out
would love
here,
that.
and we'll go to Princeton Hot Springs, and you can take me through a workout.
I would
And
love it.
yeah, again, happy May Day, everyone. And Carly, thanks again. Keep being awesome, and I love what you're doing, and I appreciate
Thank you
you.
so much, Laurel. I love what you're doing too.
You're welcome. If anybody else wants a conversation with Laurel, let me know. Let me know what you want to talk about, and we'll get you on. All right. Take care. Happy May Day.